Nobody could accuse the Game Boy of only being for little kids when Gargoyle's Quest hit the shelves. Some of the early games were simplistic and a little juvenile, but the first game in the Ghosts and Goblins spin-off series was anything but. If you've ever played the NES Classic or the Master System title Ghouls and Ghosts, you'll perhaps remember a devilish red demon called Firebrand, a frightful little hellhound that antagonized Sir Arthur and made players everywhere throw their controllers around. It was safer in the 80s when they were plugged into the console. This time around, you're actually in control of Firebrand, tasked with saving the demon realm from evil King Bragle. If I were to tell you that this game is part RPG, you can pretty much guess the storyline. You walk around from town to town, fulfilling quests given to you by various barons and lords, fighting your way through castles and dungeons, killing a boss at the end. The RPG elements are not this game's strength, and honestly, they can feel a little tacked on at times. It serves well to drive the storyline, however, which I suppose was part of the motivation for featuring this. The main appeal of the game, as with all in this series, lies in the platforming sections. In good old Ghosts and Goblins style, you can take one hit, but then after that, you're dead. After the first couple of stages, you're presented with the Armour of the Dragon, which allows an extra hit, surprisingly accommodating for one of these notoriously hard games. You jump with A and fire various projectiles with B. A lot of the progression is accomplished by clinging onto the walls a la Batman on the NES, and you'll need to master this pretty quickly in order to pass. Press A again in mid-air and you can hover for a short while, which is necessary to survive many of the platforming and combat elements. Later on, you can increase the flight time, which you inevitably need straight away in order to get across an otherwise unpassable chasm. You've played an RPG before, right? Both your flight time and armor can be upgraded more, and there are a couple of stronger attacks that you can learn too. The game starts you off with very little help, but is a little more forthcoming later on. In between the action levels, you walk around the overworld. The level of visual detail here is on a par with Link's Awakening or one of the Final Fantasy games. It's really quite striking to look at. And there's no exploration needed, it's a pretty linear path that you have to follow, walking from town to dungeon to town and so on. Random encounters will jump out on you periodically, but rather than having a turn-based battle, you enter a mini platform level where the goal is to kill the 2 or 3 enemies on screen. There isn't a massive variety of layouts here, you'll soon learn how to pass each one without too much trouble. Beat them and you obtain vials, which can be exchanged for extra lives. After each of these short interludes, your vitality restores itself, so grind as much as you want to get those vials. There's no leveling up, it's purely for farming extra lives. It's a little disappointing that more wasn't done with the RPG side of the game. It's one of those things that wouldn't be hugely missed if it weren't there. Some form of leveling up system other than here's a thing, you're now stronger, might have validated its presence a bit more. Some of the boss designs are excellent. A memorable early one features 4 gruesome-looking eyes, called 4 Eyes, amazingly, at stationary points in the corners of a spike-filled room. You need to destroy all 4 parts while avoiding their fire and hovering for just the right amount of time above the spikes, and on a moving platform, in order not to die. Of course, the level leading up to that boss is tough as nails, and you can only take 1 hit at this point. Suffice to say, health pickups are few and far between. Die, and guess what? You go back. Oh yeah, they weren't holding your hand. Don't be ashamed if you need to use save states to get anywhere with this game. It's as hard as they come on the Game Boy, but the payoff is worth it. One of the last bosses is a massive guy in a chair who sends invulnerable electric bolts after you. This took me such a long time to figure out and will test the patience of even the most astute players. The final boss is tough too, but by this point you have enough power-ups, you can now destroy the bolts to make it achievable with enough effort. The box art is classic late 80s cheese, with Firebrand represented in green. Apparently Nintendo were worried that a red demon as a playable character would be seen as too satanic. Jumping away from a toad with horns, and SpongeBob's friend Patrick. In-game though, the visuals are astounding, with an amazing level of detail in the sprites and backgrounds. It looks as good as anything on the system so far, and is only mildly spoiled by a bit of flicker and slowdown here and there. For the amount of action on screen, the developers did a great job of keeping this down. It could have been a lot worse. The music and sound is great as well, suitably dark original music mixed in with some recognisable motifs cropping up from other games in the series. A lot of games like this suffered from over-recycled music, but there's just enough variety of tracks to keep Gargoyle's quest sounding interesting, and everything is well composed, using the sound hardware to its fullest capacity. A truly masterful game, both visually and audibly. It's a Ghosts and Goblins title, so have something soft nearby that you can hurl your Game Boy onto. Take a deep breath, calm down, and remember, it's only a game, and you can beat it. It'll teach you the meaning of perseverance, if nothing else.